Be a beautiful morning for a fox hunt through the briar.
Settle.
I tell you what, I feel good in my own skin. No, the moon hound dog, crying all the time.
I've got a horn.
How good did that feel?
How does that go?
All our guests. That's it! That is it!
Red and white sunshine. Have a look at that. Old Spuddy boy. He's still got it.
God, what a character he was. In a football sense, few shared Danny Frawley's journey closer than Jason Dunstall and Gary Lyon. Their grief has been raw in the days since Spud's death, and tonight they came into Fox Footy to share their shock at the loss of a friend and their memories from the field to the screen. Gary, Jason, it's nice to see the two of you. How you going?
That's the first question you think of. I haven't been anywhere. I don't think you have either, Jason. One of the reasons is that you can't answer that question because there's no right answer. I mean, everyone is dealing with the same thing and the pain. And how are you going? Well, I'm not going great, but compared to Anita and the girls, that's the priority here, I think, and then the rest of us fall in the line. So, that's bloody horrible.
How acute 3 days on is the sense of loss, Jace?
It's hard to get your head around. It's an illness that I'll never, ever understand. I hate its guts, but I can't get a handle on it. It just seems so senseless. And you're just left with this giant void. But as Gaz said, no matter how devastated we are, there's family members that are 1,000 times worse off, and I can't comprehend that either.
Have you been able to make that contact? Have you spoken to Anita or the
I
girls?
haven't spoken. We've exchanged texts. It's hard. I reckon if I talk to anyone close, I just won't be able to talk, so it's difficult.
Do you find yourself pondering questions that are unanswerable over the past few days?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny because he had some time off. I don't even know how many years ago that was now. And that blindsided me because I work with the guy every week. We have so much fun together. And I wasn't aware of anything. I didn't see any of the signs. And then I made a point of asking him every now and then, how you going, mate, how you going? Until you get to the stage of feeling like you're bugging him. So you stop asking. And then you think, shit, if I had have been more attentive, should I have seen something? Should I have noticed something? Should I have said more? What can you do?
So Jason, myself and James went and saw him when he first had an issue with it, and we were shocked, because of who he was, and it couldn't happen to him, and did, and he was in a bad way when we went to see him, Chief, and he pulled out of it. I found myself with similar issues, and he was the one who reached out first, and every time I saw him for the rest of that time, he would say, how you going, and ring me. Every time I saw him. And, I wish he'd have rung. That's what he was going through. You can't know, Jared. That's the hard thing, and we saw him Saturday. You worked Saturday with him. I was working in the afternoon and we crossed paths, and I was in the middle of, and he was preparing. I just yelled out, as we always do, and he yelled back and didn't give us another thought. There's Spuddy doing what Spuddy does, bouncing around the room. And so you ask the question, how are you supposed to know,
He was in good form on Saturday night too, and what the last exchange is the handing over of a birthday cake.
But he always is. And that's what makes it harder to come to grips with. because he hit it so well. And he was such a good performer. When the cameras went on, he was on. But it wasn't just that. I mean, you know, we'd spend a couple of hours in the lead up to shows and we'd just sit there watching the last game and, you know, we'd bag just about everything that's going on in the game. And you know what he's like. He has amazing opinions about everything. There's nothing middle ground with Spud. It's one end or the other. And we did that as well on Saturday. And, you know, I just don't understand the disease.
It's terribly intrusive, but what was your sense of shock on Monday? Is people have felt it at all different levels, but not as close as the two of you?
I got a call mid-afternoon, I think. It's actually from Robbo, saying he had some bad news. And as soon as someone prefaces comments with that, you think, uh-oh. And when he told me, I said to the gang, are you sure, really? And you don't believe it. You just effectively go numb. And I basically had no feeling for hours. And it wasn't until, you know, we spoke earlier, I saw a replay of 360 doing a tribute, and that's when I lost it and burst into tears and couldn't stop crying. But I hadn't cried up until then because I wasn't accepting what had happened.
So I was asleep, Jared, as I do most days, and had my phone off and then turned it on and to a heap of messages. Sorry to hear about Spud. And so I rang and no one could tell me definitively, you know, so I rang Craig Kelly, who's his manager, and who's just close, you know, to the family, and he had no idea. He was totally unaware. So then I started to think, well, you know, maybe something, but then it became apparent quick enough, so that's how I found out. And then you go through long periods of time where you stop and you think, no, and then the reality hits you. And it's, yes.
You've had such long relationships with him, starting from playing days and all the way through, and no one's had greater on-screen time than the two of you. Have you thought back on the nature of friendship and the nature of connections back through the decades?
So, how I deal with these things, and sadly I've had some practice, is I write, because you've got to get it down, and I try to... So I love my brothers more than anyone. My brother is... I don't see him all the time. This is why I wrote. I can go weeks without seeing him, but when I see him, we just pick up exactly where we left off, and he gets me and I get him, and we laugh. And he supports me unequivocally to the end. And that's how I see Spud, you know, like, not as close, clearly, because family is family, but I don't see him for a week, I don't see him for 2 weeks. He is as comfortable a person for me to be in his company with as anyone, because you worked with us, and I just knew which buttons to push to get him going, and I just sit back and laugh at him as he went, and he ended up getting into trouble, and I'd sit back laughing at him again. So that's how I equated it. It's like he was like a bigger brother, but he was the naughty one.
What do you reckon the heart of it was with you and he? He was self-deprecating to a fault.
Yep. Sometimes you can't explain it. We just got on well. We just got each other. And the great thing about Spud is he'd let me steer the ship, and when it needed some relief or something a little bit different, he'd just throw himself under the bus. In fact, he lived under the bus. He didn't care. He'd sit there and bitch and moan about, I don't want to do that, it's too embarrassing. But the cameras are going, he'd just do it naturally because he wanted things to be good and he wanted to make you look good around him. And we bounced off each other, and it was so much fun.
How will you think back on Saturday night?
Yeah, I probably won't.
Yep.
I couldn't watch that.
The connections that he's made have become really clear sadly, in the past 3 days, people who met him once, and you meet most people fleetingly. He had, it seemed like, these incredible number of meaningful encounters with people that he met once, as well as the people he knew all the way through. Do you think he understood the affection that people had for him?
I don't reckon he did.
So I walked for a couple of days, just walking around, and I listened to a lot of stuff. And I came back and said to Damien Barrett I was talking to, I wish he could have heard what had taken place in the last 2 days, and he might, because he wanted to be loved. Like he wanted to be loved. Conflict. He didn't shy away from conflict, but at the heart of it, he wanted to be loved, and he would always try and make up after the blue, you know. And to hear some of those, you know, for days on end is, I wish he had heard that. That's what I wish.
Do you have an affinity with that, Jace?
Oh. I'm really disappointed in that I don't have a great memory for the specifics of things. And you sit there trying to remember all the little things that we did and that we said. God, I wish I could remember some of the more specific things, because I've never laughed more in my life than the times I've spent with him.
And, Gaz, if the laugh was at his expense, in a way that seemed to make him happiest.
Even better. His radio stuff with us early days, the Triple M rub stuff was... I've never seen him... I would stay with James Brayshaw. We sort of thought that was when he was at his best and happiest. That, and you know, with Jace on the bounce, but it was his level of excitement on a Saturday.
What about when he had something and he came in and you knew he wanted to unload?
Yeah, and he'd write it. He'd have it down, and he would have heard something about Damien or me or Jason or Jim, and then he couldn't. Like, he almost couldn't wait to spill it out. And then when it comes spewing out of his mouth, it made no sense. And inevitably get turned back on him, which that's when he sort of... this was his response whenever he got caught out. Deny, 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 then violence.
Yes. Get angry.
Where you go, no, that's not true. And then you go, Spud, I think that is true. No, it's not true. Spud, I've got a bit of paper here. It's not true. Spud, all right. And then he'd whack Warrior, or he'd whack Joe. He never really whacked me, but he'd wrestle or Chewer. You go the other one.
Oh, poor Chewer.
And a little stats man, he'd wrestle him to the ground. But the commentary side of it was, he loved footy, but he would get that excited. Special comments that when it was a big game and I could sense his level of excitement, a minute before I'd say, now listen, it's a big game, so let the callers call, and then don't jump up. Yeah, yep. Within 20 seconds there'd be a mark, he'd be calling, he'd be screaming over the top, and then I'd say, just let it breathe. Yeah, I will. And the other thing he loved, Jason, I don't know, this is as childish as I can ever be, right? I've never known a man that loved a fart noise better. So whenever there was someone lining up for goal and the commentator would be going, this the Jason Dunstall was the greatest goal kicker, look at him, he's kicked 98% of this, and he'd line up and he'd go off the side of the boot, all you'd hear was Spud go, which is kindergarten humour.
Yep.
It's the funniest thing he would hear for the day. He'd roll around and, you know, then he'd do it again about 5 times. You go, right, that's probably enough, Spud. Oh, yeah. I was thinking about that today. It just made me laugh. Whenever I wanted to make him laugh, I'd just go, and then off he'd go.
There'll be lasting elements. One of them looks like it'll be the Golden Fist, which has become the cause célèbre of football fans who want him remembered. So what started out as a joke, but with a kernel of this
wasn't
is
a joke
who
for
he
him.
was.
Wasn't a joke for him. Now, we all made fun of it, and we still do. But at the end of the day, he's 100% correct in that defenders get overlooked. And we know midfielders win the Brownlow, you get a Coleman medal if you're kicking goals, and you get all the headlines and all those sorts of things. And he said, no. He was an old-fashioned backman. He said, it's about time we recognise them. And then once he got a bit of traction with it, he got everyone on board. And it just became, such a simple and at times a ridiculous thing, but when people are yelling bang when he punches the fist, he'd get so excited and you'd see him smiling while he's doing it. He'd talk in slow motion to match the replay of a spoil. Oh, he loved it. And you know what? That will live on. It will. Too many people now. Too many people are on it, so that's a tiny part of the legacy he'll leave.
So for all that you got to share with him on air and then off air in your private moments, do you feel blessed to have shared so much time with him?
So I'm doing my very best to sit there and cherish all the time I had with him rather than think about the years that we won't have. And they were fantastic.
Do you feel blessed, Gats?
Oh, so much, and you won't know that until the weekend comes. He's not in the commentary box. He's not on the bounce. And particularly this Saturday morning at about 7 when my phone won't go with these hopeless tips that he would send through.
Worst tipster ever.
Religiously. I got this one from Hayes. Kieran Maher told me this will win. And then we'd go, righto, so we'd back them all. No good. And then he'd come bouncing in 1-800.
Yes, exactly right.
So how could you? I backed every one of your tips. Oh, no, I got some different ones.
Couldn't he gloat after the event? Extraordinary stuff. And the other thing about Spud's text messages is he never checked them before he sent them. Most of them were unintelligible. You kind of got a hint of what he might have been trying to refer to, but he didn't believe in spell check, he didn't believe in reading them before he sent them. You'd sit there and go, what the hell did you have to send back, mate? What are you on about? What does it mean? It's just a different language.
And not particularly fussed who they went to. They could go to the wrong person pretty easily. So, but this is what's hardest, Jared. Is this so real and live? And my full expectation is that it will happen again this weekend. And and it won't.
A big character who leaves a big hole. How will you remember him, Jace?
It's hard to answer. Just a great mate. It's impossible not to love him.
And for you, Gaz?
So, how will I remember him? He was a fun magnet. Didn't matter what was going on. It didn't matter what you were doing, how serious or how. He just had a nose for fun, and if it got too serious, then he'd lose focus and he'd find fun in it. So, that's how I remember him.
All of our love to both of you. You combined with him to provide so much. You brought out so much in him and he in you. So thank you.
Thanks.
To share like that, that's more than I would have been capable of in the circumstances. To Jason and to Gary, we wish them the best. Let's come back to the footy, shall we, and head towards